There we go. Thanks for being here this morning on Pivot Shift Ahead and inside our daily mastermind call. I'm glad you're here. We're going to have a great day. There's something came out Friday. Did y'all see this on Friday? You may not have heard about it, but there was a settlement in the buyer agency commission case that NAR sent out on Friday. I don't know. It's got a bunch of all wound up and sassy. You're getting wound up and sassy, and it's time to wind down and remove the sass. It's no different than when I talk to my 12-year-old. Let's settle down and remove the sass. So we're going to talk about some mindset things today as we enter kind of just a different time in the industry, and we can handle that. But before we get to that, we're going to do a couple of Tell Me Something Goods. And we do this every day on the call. We'll do a couple of Tell Me Something Goods, and we'll get after it. Bonnie, you're up first. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for calling on me. I am so excited this morning. I've been waiting to share this with you guys. I called a gentleman on January 15th of 2022. And we set a listing appointment meeting, and he came to that meeting, and he had been let go literally right before the meeting. And so we realized maybe not the right time to sell his house. So we set follow-up meetings. The man has stood me up 7 different times over the last 2 years. I never took it personally. I always just kept following up and saying, hey, what's another time? What's a good time? And yesterday we signed listing paperwork for him. I'm going to sell his house after 2 years. So the fortune really is in the follow-up. And he was an internet lead. So when you guys are talking about different internet leads and how long they take, it does take a couple years. So just stick with them. But
Stay in the game.
He refused. Yeah.
Yeah, Bonnie, you stay in the game. And remember, just because they don't hear you, just because you don't hear them doesn't mean they don't hear us. We've got to stay in touch and keep checking in. Bonnie, thank you so much. LaToya, you get the last one this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. So my fourth Women Talk event is this coming Thursday. My Market Center DI Women, KW Women's Talk event is this Thursday. And 3 out of the 4 panelists is my Pivot sisters. My moderator is Bree Vaughn Pittman Vaughn III, my awesome team leader. I'm just excited for this year's event. I'm excited about the content, the topic. So if anybody is available, free Thursday at 1 p.m., feel free to jump on the Zoom. I'll put the link in the chat.
Thank you so much, LaToya. Please do. All right, let's get after it this morning. Thank you. Excuse me so much for being here. On Friday, the notice came out from NAR that they've reached a settlement in that buyer agent commission case. We haven't talked a lot about it on here. I know maybe you're part of other Facebook groups that have gone on and on and on and on about it. But, for me in this community, I like to focus on things we can control. And I think we can control 2 things, our mindset and our actions. And that's what we've talked about pretty much every day inside this community for 4 years. Many of you have been part of that for a long time, and I honor you and thank you. In fact, we celebrated our 4-year anniversary yesterday. Some of you are hopping on for the first time today because you have interest in, hey, what do we do moving forward? So first, I just want to invite you to come hang out with us every day because we do this call every day. We hit 1,000 just about every day on the Zoom, and that's why we live stream it in the Facebook group as well. And so you're invited to join us. We open the Zoom room at 7:30 Eastern every single morning, and then we do our live stream starting at 8 o'clock. And if you're new to us, welcome. You have 1,000 calls. You can go watch inside the featured section of the Facebook group. But today I do want to talk about the NAR settlement because we haven't talked about this at all, really. And people said, James, would you talk about it? So I will. First, I want to lay it out for you. Remember, this is a proposed settlement from NAR. Nothing's final. Judge still has to sign off on it. And yet here's what it says. And Keller Williams sent this stuff out to his associates yesterday. And I'm going to sprinkle in some mild commentary with it as we go. Here's number 1. Buyer representation agreements are going to be required starting this summer, mid-July. You should have been doing these anyway, but that's okay. If you weren't, now you're going to have to do them. So no big whoop, whatever. Number 1, inside of the buyer representation agreement, it says, number 1, agents must disclose the amount or rate of compensation they're going to receive. You should have been doing this already. I've said that many, many times. If you do a buyer agency agreement, you put in what you're going to be paid, and then you're not worried about it. The amount of compensation must be set in the agreement as a percentage or a dollar amount. You should have been doing that already, but that's fine. No worries. It goes on. Offers of cooperative compensation cannot be made on the MLS. So your broker is going to find the way that they're going to get that information out if a seller is offering co-broke compensation. Number 3, Number 4, rather, brokers can publish offers of cooperative compensation for their own listings on their websites. So you just can't put it in the MLS anymore, but it can be publicized on their own websites, so on and so forth. Most of this stuff, whatever, not interested, don't care. Because for me, I think it should still be business as usual. Here's what you do. You do a buyer consultation, like you should have been doing anyway. You get them to sign a buyer agency agreement, like you should have been doing anyway. And you agree to compensation up front, like you should have been doing anyway. Then if you find out the seller's willing to pay part of it, great. Your buyer's all set. If not, your buyer's going to pay it. I honestly think it's what we should have been doing anyway. But it's okay if you haven't been. Now you have to. So let's walk through what we do. First, many of you are action first people like I am. I mean, I created this Facebook group 4 years ago as an action first thing. I knew that things were going to get changed, things were going to change and going to get wonky. And so we needed a place to go to get our mindset right. And so I took action without pausing to think. And that's the kind of person I am. But that also can cause problems. When we take action too quickly and don't pause to think, sometimes we can mess up. Here's what I would tell you here. Pause, breathe, breathe in, breathe out, relax, relax. There are so many questions. A big question is, what about VA buyers? It's going to work itself out. It's March 19th. This stuff doesn't go into effect until mid-July. We don't need an answer right now on that. There will be one that gets worked out. This proposal isn't even finalized or approved yet by the judge. There could be changes to this as we go. And then your state associations and your local boards and your brokers, they're all going to work this stuff out. So just breathe. Just breathe. And the question ultimately becomes, well, what can we do now? Well, I want to jump into a book and Inspire members. How great is this? Those of you who are part of the Inspire Collective, which is my private mastermind, I bought all of you this book, Master of Change by Brad Stulberg. If you're an Inspire member that didn't get it, that window to get it is closed, so you have to go buy it on your own. But I bought this book, Master of Change by Brad Stulberg, and then the author is going to be on with us in April. And I just jumped into this and said, well, we're in a time of change right now, and we've got to be prepared for it. And one thing he talks about is he teaches us this concept of order, disorder, reorder. Order is things are the way that we are. We just kind of show up and we do our things and they happen and we get our system. And I'm like this. I'm a routine guy. I've always been a routine guy. And we call that order. And then something happens. Disorder happens in the world that changes it all around. And we have to realize that when we enter a time of disorder, it never goes back to order. It goes to reorder. Things change. This group is an example of that. We had our system and way of life, and then the pandemic came, disorder, and we reorder. There are things that change because of COVID that will never go back to the way they were, and many of those things are great things. But leading up to it, it was really scary. So we're in a time of disorder, and in times of disorder, chaos can come up, and people freak out, and people pontificate about all of these things. But the truth is, we just need to be able to keep the pieces together without falling apart. So here's what Brad tells us. I'm on page 14 of Masters of Change. He says, what we need in times like this is rugged flexibility. He says to be rugged is tough, determined, and durable. To be flexible, though, is to respond to altered circumstances or conditions, to adapt and bend easily without breaking. We've got to put those two things together and create a gritty endurance, an anti-fragility that not only withstands change, but thrives in its midst. This rugged flexibility is the quality that you and I need to become a master of change, to successfully navigate disorder and chaos and endure over the long haul. Rugged flexibility recognizes that after disorder, there is no going back to the way things were, no more order, only reorder. The goal of rugged flexibility is to get into a favorable reorder, to maintain a strong core identity, but at the same time to adapt, evolve, and grow. Your business is going to adapt, evolve, and grow. If you haven't been doing buyer consultations where you review a buyer agency agreement and talk about a fee, guess when a good time is to do that now? You should probably start that process now. Get good at it now. That's why Inspire members on April 11th, Nikki Ubaldini is going to join us on our Inspire call to do a portion of her course called List Your Buyers for Success, where she teaches how to do the buyer consultation, get the agreement signed, and talk about the fee. So Inspire members, we've got that for you on April 11th. Now, let me move forward. Let me jump forward in Master of Change to page number 60, because here's what I found, and I don't know if you've found this to be true or not. I'm members of lots of different Facebook groups, and I've seen lots of different people talk about this change. I follow a bunch of you on social media, and I've seen so many of you drone on and on and on and on about this news on Friday. And my advice to you is stop. The public doesn't give a flip. The public doesn't need your 72 paragraph outline about what you think of this settlement. They don't care. So stop talking about it. And if they have a question, they're going to ask you about it. And then, by the way, when you post your video on it, you're going to say something stupid. So just hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. Just wait. Pause. Let things settle. Nobody cares. The people who care will reach out to you, and be prepared to handle those things. I can't help it that the news media doesn't understand how our business works, and they wrote stupid headlines. But you don't have to go talk about it. Just relax. So you've got several types of people that show up at a time like this, and you've seen them on the various Facebook groups you're in. There's a sky is falling group, and there's I don't care, I'm just going to keep pushing forward group. Both of you are messed up. Both of you are messed up. Here's what Brad says on page 60. Two attitudes tend to prevail in times like this. Some people choose to bury their hands in the sand, delude themselves, or express a toxic positivity. Others choose to be excessively pessimistic or despairing. Both of these attitudes are easy to adopt because they absolve you from doing anything. The former denies that anything is wrong, and if nothing is wrong, there's nothing to worry about and nothing to change. The latter takes such a grim stance that basically says any action would be pointless, so why bother? It is a fast track to helplessness. Well, don't be on that. He says what we need to do instead is to take wise hope and wise action. Wise hope and wise action asks that we accept and see a situation clearly for what it is, and then with a hopeful attitude say, well, this is happening, so now I'm going to focus on what I can control, try not to obsess over what I can't, and do the best I can. I've faced other challenges and other seasons of doubt and despair, and I've come out on the other side. What we've got to do is respond skillfully. What do? We respond what? Skillfully to the changes that are ahead that might be hard to face. If we can, this is Brad again, if we can respond with wise hope and wise action, then we diminish our reactions and we become more resilient as a result. Here's what I would suggest. I don't know any of these changes are bad. I think you should have been sitting down with your buyers and doing a consultation and getting them to sign an agreement and discussing compensation up front anyway. Now you're going to have to do it. You don't have a choice. Are you scared? Sure, maybe, because you haven't done it before. So use this time from March 19th to mid-July to perfect your skill in that. You can succeed in this market. You can succeed in any market, but you just have to get better at what you do. Now I'm going to open it up for thoughts, but I'm going to tell you, we're not going to go on and on and on about if we agree with the settlement or if we think it's the right thing to do. We're going to talk about the two things we can control, our mindset and our actions. Alice and Brent, start us off. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, as you talk about, these are just seasons of our life, and we're going to have changes all the time. You are always in the shift book because life has shifts. And, you know, remember in COVID, we had those viral showings. You couldn't let people into the house. And we had open house signs that said viral showings. And so you adjust to whatever happens in your life. And the question becomes, what's your value? And, you know, we signed up for the KW event that's going to happen on March 26th, where Gary and Jay and Jason are going to talk about the value 2 squared and how important that is. It's on March 26th and live stream. So, and it's free for all of us. So you're going to keep learning, keep growing, adjust, and, you know, have fun doing it. This is going to be a time of growth. When you have a time of struggle, it always creates a time of growth. Go and grow.
Well, opportunity shows up in transition. We've talked about that on this call many, many times, and we're in a transition. And those of you who embrace the opportunity will come out on the other side at a much better place. I would absolutely suggest that you take Value Squared from Keller Williams. And if you've got a question about when it is, see your team leader, ask someone in your market center. They're probably doing watch parties inside the office. That's a good class to take. But also, honestly, you could go take the buyer consultation class of Ignite to go hone your skill on how to meet with a buyer. I would argue again, everything you now have to do is something you probably should have been doing anyway. You don't have a DeLorean, so you can't go back in time and start doing it, but you can start doing it today. Now, a lot of you are posting specific questions in the chat. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? I'm not your broker. You've got a broker. Every single one of you has a broker. Go ask your broker. But also, again, I'll give you the advice I gave at the top of the call. Pause. Just pause and breathe. It's March 19th. These rules will go in effect sometime in mid-July. Just relax. We don't need all the answers today. We just keep pushing forward. Brett Campbell, you're next. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, James. Three different things here. Number one, this is holding those accountable who are not already doing it for themselves. Number two, that in my opinion, the only person that really served to gain a lot here was a first-time home buyer that never sold their home. And then thirdly, I was already doing this. I've actually been the example at our market center in 2 or 3 different meetings where they knew that I was already discussing this and going over a certain commission that I will not work under with my buyers and that they'll pay me the difference for that. And that's happened before and it's worked out perfectly fine. And what I wrote is just another script, and the marketing buyers will adjust, and this will become the new way of doing business. And in some ways, I believe we should have saw this coming. And for those who adapt the quickest will thrive and win the most. Thanks, James.
Thank you so much. I'm going to jump around the chat because I want to bring some of our really experienced agents in the room on the call because we're running out of time. Orly, you're next. Good morning.
Thank you so much. And James, your words are brilliant because having done this for so long, I learned one thing. The only thing constant is change. That's just the way life is. 2008 came, the last quarter of that year, there was no business going on as the banks were crashing. We didn't know what was going to happen. Business came down 40%. We had COVID. It's just the way life is. And I have always had a very healthy dose of denial. A healthy dose of denial is having 2 ears. One ear is kind of like peaked and listening to what's going on, just so you're aware. And the other ear is closed and you run your own race and you do your own business. And this is going to be a skill-based business, as James said. And you know what? A lot of realtors are going to leave this business, and we have too many realtors in the country anyway. So it's time to clean house. It's time to elevate our skills and be the best realtors that we are, those of us that are on this call. I love what you said, James. Adapt, evolve, and grow. And that's a great lesson for life, no matter what happens in your life, whether it's death, divorce, anything. The only thing constant is change, and it's all about a mindset. So go to the office today, run your own race. Don't go to the water cooler. Don't talk to those people because it's toxic. So stay.
It is. True story, Orly. Thank you. Donna Gilbert, good morning.
Wait, I'm next. So, thank you, Orly, for saying that. Those of us who have been around the block a few times, I'm 22 years. This started in New Jersey. It's been, New York. Oh, wow. What state am I in? Sorry.
Connecticut.
Started in Connecticut. Those are all the other towns I've ever lived in. This started in Connecticut in 1998. I came into the business in 2002. This is all I've ever known. It's been a requirement. I can't imagine doing it any other way. I'm so glad that we are now all going to be doing it. You're going to find that it is exciting. It's powerful. It truly does make you a professional. And, people, we can do hard things. We have figured out every other mountain we've had to climb over, including COVID. We can figure this out. Like James said, don't panic. Take the classes, get the information. I love what Rhett just said. Be the example in your office. Learn it so well that people come to you to ask how to do it.
That's right. Yeah, it's truthfully, there's most of the stuff in here is not something that's new. That on the buyer side of it, doing a buyer rep agreement and discussing compensation is not a new idea. And some of the process is going to change, but here's the deal. Please don't strategize around how to solve through some of this stuff right now. Let it shake itself out. Let your broker update you on what's going to happen next. And what I would recommend is you begin practicing your buyer consultation and your presentation, and you work on that, and you start moving to that now. And then I'd pick up this book, Master of Change. Inspire members, I bought it for most of you. Most of you got a copy. If you're an Inspire member that didn't get a copy, I'm out, so you'll have to go buy your own. But I'd buy Master of Change. Inspire members, Brad's with us on April 16th to unpack the book, so I'd read it before April 16th. And then let's just know that it's always order, disorder, reorder. We're in a disorder. Disorder, you can either go chaos or skill. And if you want to go live in a world of chaos, that's totally cool, but you're in the wrong Facebook group and on the wrong mastermind call, because we're not going to do that. But we are going to talk about skill and strategy. If you want that, you're in the right Facebook group and on the right call. We'll keep doing that. We've been doing this for 4 years. Some of you, it was the first time you joined us. Thank you for choosing to be here today. We hope that you'll be back with us tomorrow. Inspire members, I will see you this afternoon at noon Eastern. You got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration. Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you,
Have a great
James.
day.
Bye.